What you're about to hear will make you call your parents and either thank them or block them forever. I'm Madison, I'm 16, and my billionaire parents literally abandoned me in the Amazon rainforest because I didn't get into Harvard. For 7 days, I survived on termites and contaminated water, while they filmed a Netflix show about teaching me a lesson. But the plot twist they didn't see coming was the secret recording on my dad's old phone that would send them to prison. If you think your family is toxic, wait until you hear what mine did. And before we start, hit that subscribe button because trust me, after hearing this, you'll want to know what happens in court next week. Let me paint you the full picture of how insane this gets. Tomorrow, I'm testifying against my parents for attempted murder. But let me start from the beginning. 3 months ago, I failed to get into Harvard at 16. My billionaire parents were disappointed. Their solution was unconventional, to say the least. They decided to abandon me in the Amazon rainforest to build character. My father is a tech billionaire who believes suffering equals success. My mother is an Instagram influencer with 3 million followers who documents everything for content. My older brother Chase is the golden child who got into Harvard at 15. I'm the family disappointment because I prefer art to spreadsheets. The nightmare started at a family dinner when Dad announced we were taking a special birthday trip. Just the 3 of us. Quality family time. Mom was already filming for her followers, talking about family goals and blessed life. I should have noticed the red flags. They made me sign a waiver for the trip. Dad mentioned his new life insurance policy 3 times during dinner. Mom only packed phone chargers and ring lights for a jungle expedition. We took their private jet to Peru. During the flight, Dad read self-help books about Spartan training while Mom live-streamed the clouds. We met our guide João at a luxury resort. He looked like someone who wrestled jaguars for fun. He said my parents had paid for a very special, very transformative experience. The boat ride into the jungle took 3 hours. We went deeper and deeper until there were no other tourists, no paths, no civilization, just green wilderness in every direction. When we stopped at the most remote spot imaginable, my father handed João a thick envelope of cash. Then came the words that changed everything. "The Harrington family doesn't raise weak children," he said. "You have 1 week to find your way back to civilization or don't. Natural selection will decide." I thought it was a joke. It wasn't. My mother kissed my forehead and said if I survived, I would thank them. If I didn't, well, they still had Chase. She actually took a selfie with me crying in the background, saying she would post it later because the engagement would be incredible either way. They got back in the boat and left. João disappeared into the jungle. I stood there in designer jeans and a crop top, watching my parents become a tiny dot on the horizon. They had actually abandoned their 16-year-old daughter in the Amazon rainforest. Can you believe parents would actually do this? Drop a comment right now, telling me what you would do if your parents pulled this. Seriously, I need to know I'm not alone in thinking this is insane. The first hour, I was more angry than scared. I told myself I would survive and then sue them for everything. Then the sun started setting and the real horror began. The Amazon at night is like someone turned on hell's surround sound system. Everything screams, howls, hisses, or growls. I tried to find shelter in a tree with big roots, but something was already living there. It hissed at me and I ran. I spent the entire first night standing up, too terrified to sit or lean against anything. Things with glowing eyes watched me from the darkness. Yellow eyes, red eyes, eyes that blinked sideways. At 3 in the morning, something brushed against my leg. I screamed for 20 minutes straight. It turned out to be a leaf, just a leaf. Day 2 brought a new crisis, dehydration. My tongue felt like Velcro and my lips were cracking. I knew water in the Amazon could kill you 5 different ways with parasites, bacteria, piranhas, and caimans, but dying of thirst was certain while bad water was only probable. I found a stream by following birds at dawn. The water was brown with things moving in it. I drank it anyway, threw up immediately, then drank more. My stomach cramped like someone was wringing it out, but I kept drinking. That's when I saw the piranhas watching me from the water, just waiting. On day 3, I made a discovery that saved my life. In my back pocket was my father's old iPhone, the one he supposedly lost last month. It was dead, but the screen could work as a magnifying glass. It took 6 hours and burned fingers, but I made fire. When that tiny flame finally caught, I felt more accomplished than I ever could have getting into Harvard. Day 4 was when I made a terrible mistake. I was so hungry I was considering eating my leather belt. I found purple berries and remembered the rhyme about purple and blue being good for you. These were the wrong purple berries. I spent 6 hours hallucinating wildly. A tree became my therapist, Dr. Peterson, and I had a full counseling session with it. A butterfly transformed into my ex-boyfriend, Jake. The ground turned into pudding. I was having philosophical conversations with insects while vomiting colors that shouldn't exist in nature. By day 5, I had become something I never thought possible. I was eating ants, which were surprisingly spicy, termites, which were crunchy and nutty, grubs, which had a creamy texture I don't want to think about. I even ate something that might have been a fruit or might have been a tumor growing on a tree. When you're rating bug flavors like you're a food critic, you know you've hit rock bottom. Day 6 broke me physically. I was following the stream, hoping it would lead to people. I stepped on what looked like solid ground, but was actually branches covering a hole. I fell 8 feet onto rocks and heard my ankle crack before I felt it. The pain was blinding, but worse than that were the vultures. They were already circling above me, patient and knowing. I screamed at them, calling them death chickens and telling them it wasn't my time. They didn't care. Vultures can wait. I made a pathetic crutch from a branch and forced myself to keep moving. Every step was agony, but those vultures transformed my fear into anger, and anger can move mountains, while fear keeps you frozen. Day 7 started with me ready to give up. I was considering just lying down and letting nature take its course. Then I heard the most beautiful sound in the world: human laughter. I stumbled into an indigenous village looking like something from a zombie movie. I was covered in mud, blood, insect bites, and substances I couldn't identify. The villagers didn't speak English, and I didn't speak their language, but help is universal. An elderly woman clicked her tongue at my wounds like a disappointed grandmother and fed me something that looked awful but tasted like heaven. A child, maybe 10 years old, gave me his Coca-Cola t-shirt because mine was shredded beyond recognition. The village leader had a satellite phone for emergencies. When they called for rescue, I could hear my mother through the phone asking if I was okay enough for photos because she was running out of content. My father said 7 days was respectable and to tell me I had passed. Past what exactly? I wanted to scream. The rescue helicopter arrived with my parents already on board. They had brought a full camera crew. My mother ran toward me with her ring light, calling me sweetie and saying I did it. I punched her in the face with my good hand. It was worth any lawsuit that might follow. At the hospital, while doctors treated my 47 different infections and parasites, I discovered something that changed everything. João, our guide, was in the same hospital in a full body cast. He told me my parents were crazy. He was supposed to follow me and keep me safe from a distance, but a jaguar attacked him on day 1. My parents never sent a replacement. They never checked. They just left me to whatever fate awaited. Then I found out the real truth. My father was writing a book called Raising Warriors: How I Fixed My Weak Daughter. My mother had a Netflix show in production called Extreme Parenting Billionaire Edition. I wasn't their daughter. I was content for their brand. But here's where the story gets interesting. That old iPhone in my pocket still had a working audio recorder, even with a cracked screen. I had accidentally recorded everything, including my mother saying that if I died, they would blame João and collect the insurance money. So now we're in court. My emancipation papers are filed. I have a book deal of my own and a documentary in production. My brother Chase, the golden child, texted me yesterday to say he respected what I did and that even he knows our parents went too far. Tomorrow the verdict comes down. Win or lose, I'm done with the Harrington family. I'm using whatever money I get to start a foundation for children who've experienced actual parental abandonment and abuse. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't just surviving. It's taking their money and using it to help others while making sure the whole world knows what kind of people they really are. My therapist says I use humor to cope with trauma. I told her that's better than using my trust fund to cope with humor. She didn't laugh, but then again, she's seen the footage of me eating grubs while arguing with a tree, so perhaps she's concerned about my mental state. To anyone watching whose parents think you're too soft or weak, remember this. You're not weak because you feel things. You're not soft because you have emotions. You're human, and that's enough. You don't need to eat bugs in the Amazon to prove your worth. And to my dear parents, if you're watching this with your legal team, this video is evidence too. See you in court. So, there I was in the hospital with 47 different infections when I discovered the phone had been recording audio the whole time, including this gem from my mother. If she dies, we'll blame João and collect the insurance. If she survives, it's content for my Netflix show.